Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, I'm Dennis Bragg. Jill Valley is off tonight. An eventful weather day in northwest Montana as the area sees steady snowfall throughout most of the day. Kalispell saw steady snow since mid-morning, but Whitefish got a pretty good helping even before that, making for some rough travel conditions today. According to the National Weather Service, total daytime snow accumulation has ranged anywhere from 3 to 7 inches today, and more snow is expected in the region after a day of steady snowfall. For more on what we can expect the next few hours, let's turn it over to meteorologist Russ Thomas and the first forecast at the Storm Tracker Weather Center. Russ.
Yeah, and I think that's really it. Over the next several hours, we're going to continue to see the pace of snow that we are seeing. Eventually, I think past midnight, the warning will still be in place, but I do think we'll start to slow down just a little bit. Valley totals, though, 10 to 15 inches, and if you talk about 3 to 7 right now, more on the way. I think those numbers are certainly doable by the time this system wraps up. Most of western Montana, certainly northwest Montana, underneath this warning. And even areas like Polson at warm front kind of dividing between the snow and the rain, stuck around south of Flathead Lake for much of the day, which means Polson getting hit with that snow as well. As you can see, the Missoula-Bitterroot Valley not in an advisory or warning. Southwest Montana and the surrounding higher elevations, including Phillipsburg as well, is under that advisory, and we'll have more on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Russ. This morning, the Flathead Avalanche Center bumped the avalanche watch up to an avalanche warning. Heavy snowfall and strong winds overloading a weak snowpack has created large areas of unstable snow. The warning began at 7 this morning, runs until midnight. The center is saying the avalanche danger will rise to high by late afternoon or by tonight. Certain places could see up to 50 inches of snow way up in the peaks. Affected areas where the warning exists are the Flathead, Whitefish, and Swan ranges. And to keep an eye on all the changing weather conditions in western Montana, all you need is your mobile device. Just download the KPAX Storm Tracker weather app to get on-the-go forecast from our Storm Tracker weather team. It's free in the Google Play or the App Store with Apple. After 11 years in the position, the Kalispell Chief of Police is announcing he's stepping down. The surprising announcement was made during last night's City Council meeting. Longtime Chief Roger Nassett says he's stepping down at the end of the month. He's been with the department since 1994. He's been chief for the past 10 years after Frank Garner stepped down in 2006. Nassett's last day will be on December 28th, and Captain Wade Rademacher will serve as the interim chief until a successor is found. Nassett says he's happy with the time of his departure as he feels he's leaving the department at a good time.
We have some very good up-and-coming leaders in the department. I'm excited. It's probably one of the things that I see, you know, as a legacy that I leave is a really good department that's in place, that's running very well, respective of the community, community-oriented.
Nassett says he's going into the private security sector. He still will be living in Kalispell. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office investigating the death of a Libby man. Lincoln County Sheriff Robbie Bowe says at about 7:30 Sunday, 911 received a call that a man later identified as 69-year-old Dean Leckrorn had suffered a gunshot wound to the head. Libby Police Department and Lincoln County deputies responded. He died at the scene. Sheriff Bowe says the incident being investigated right now by the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office. A Monday night drug operation nicknamed Operation Blue Christmas in Polson lands 6 people in jail. The arrests come as the Polson Police Department, with help from the Flathead Tribal Police, wrapped up a short-term drug investigation. Polson Police Sergeant George Simpson says search warrants were executed on 4 homes in the city as part of the operation. Several things were seized by authorities, including marijuana, opiate pills, a firearm and ammunition, and over $11,000 in suspected drug profits. The names of those arrested haven't been released, and several children were also removed from dangerous living conditions as a result of those drug raids. Investigators are on the scene of that deadly train derailment in Washington State, trying to find answers today. It appears the Amtrak train was going far too fast, and there are questions whether the engineer may have been distracted by a second person in the locomotive cab. CBS's Chris Martinez has more from the scene in Washington.
An oversized load truck hauled away one of 13 mangled train cars that flew off the tracks in Washington State. Crews still have to remove the locomotive.
It weighs over 270,000 pounds. It is extremely heavy. It is going to take quite a feat to get that out of there.
The NTSB says speed may have been a factor in yesterday's deadly derailment. The event data recorder shows the train was traveling at 80 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. At least 3 people were killed and dozens were injured on the maiden voyage of this newly opened train line. The Associated Press is reporting investigators are looking into whether the engineer was distracted by an employee in training in the locomotive cab. According to Radio Chatter, the engineer was bleeding from his head after the wreck, and both eyes were swollen shut.
The NTSB says it's been recommending safety features like automatic braking, known as positive train control, for decades.
It certainly does prevent accidents that are overspeed accidents that cause derailments.
The former NTSB chair says there's one simple reason the technology isn't in use everywhere.
It's because of the dollars that need to be spent that's delayed its implementation.
This 15-mile stretch of track in Washington was a $180 million project aimed at speeding up service by bypassing a more curvy route with single-track tunnels and freight traffic. Chris Martinez, CBS News, DuPont, Washington.
We do know one of the victims killed in that derailment was an employee of a local transit agency on that trip. Well, thanks to generous donations, residents around Stevensville are getting a little extra help with their Christmas meals, overcoming a year that looked bleak after a tough fire season. At one point this year was looking like a sparse holiday. The Lolo Peak fire had forced many people out of their homes, creating financial problems or forcing evacuees to use the extra supplies they might normally donate to Pantry Partners in Stevensville. But miracles do happen, and today was an abundance of donations as Pantry Partners volunteers gathered to distribute more than 350 Christmas food boxes with plenty of turkeys, hams, and all the trimmings. It's quite the turnaround from last fall when Pantry Partners was worried about the hole left by fire season.
It really did, but the community came forward. It's amazing. We had all the turkeys we needed, all the hams we needed, that we have all the food we needed to share with our community. This is really a neighbors helping neighbors project, and it's awesome. We had backcountry horsemen from all over the valley showed up this morning and got 50, 60 high school kids going, filling these boxes. They were done in an hour and a half. Amazing.
And while the bounty is great now, Sanchez says Pantry Partners depends on an ongoing donations year-round, especially when supplies dwindle after the holidays. The Pantry Partners Food Bank is open Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays on ALC Way. That's just off Middle Bird Fork Road on the south side of Stevensville. You can call to donate or volunteer at 777-0351. With the spirit of giving more generous than ever this time of the year, KPAX-TV, First Security, and Glacier Banks have a tradition of teaming up to see how many pounds of food can be collected for all the area food banks and pantries. Just a couple of days remain to contribute to the food drive this year. One last final push underway to stock the shelves. With 1 in 8 Montanans struggling with hunger, food banks offer that temporary assistance with emergency food, basic clothing, and household goods. Consider helping out by dropping off a canned good, any non-perishable item at any of the 13 Glacier banks in northwest Montana or the First Security Bank
so many
branches
people that
in
go
Missoula.
hungry this time of the year. They have decisions to make on do they buy food, do they pay their rent, do they buy their medicine, or what do they do for transportation? And so food is one of the types of things that is most important to us and something that is so important to the folks in our valley.
Our annual food drive has now reached over 7,600 pounds. If you haven't had a chance to help out, again, still time to drop off your non-perishable food items at your nearest bank branches of Glacier Bank or First Security Bank, and we'll make sure it gets to those that need the assistance. Up next on Montana Made, we meet a snowboard builder whose unlikely path led him to Whitefish to pursue his passion. That's coming up on KPAX.